Attention all passengers. Attention all passengers. Hello. Hello, I'm talking to you. Hello.
Hello, this is episode 1 of
On the way to the airport.
Conversations on the way to the airport.
Oh wait, we'll call it
Airport conversations.
Airport runs. Like
Airport runs.
from to and from the airport.
It should just be called airport runs.
Airport runs. Yeah, okay.
The reason that this podcast exists is because I travel a lot.
Yeah.
And my roommate here, Mr. Richard Dunn, Rick Dunn,
Dick Dunn, yes.
Dick Dunn, he
Usually takes you to the airport.
always takes me to the airport
Pretty much.
for the most part.
Yeah.
So our airport runs are full of interesting conversations and random pit stops, like going to the treasure truck to pick up cedar plank salmon and asparagus.
Just cause.
Just because I got a text that said it and it was a good deal.
Exactly.
So I don't know when this is going to air. I don't know that it should be a first episode, but the conversation that we were having just now,
You want me to explain it?
yeah.
Okay. So exactly whatever you think is gonna get sound.
Well, the air's on, so it's definitely not going to get good sound.
Definitely right there. Like that.
Okay.
Alright, so how this all started, I was talking to a friend of mine. Actually, this starts the other night when Julie and I were watching this comedian chick. What was her name?
Eliza Schlesinger.
Elijah Schlesinger, and she talked about how women are more handicapped than men when it comes to rejection, because men go through more of their life being rejected than women do. So if women were to try to take up the mantle of stepping up to men more often, it would be more of a thing, because they're not used to being rejected.
Be more emotional.
More of an emotional thing, because they're not used to it. So this was a conversation I was talking to my friend Sean about, and this led into our first times sexual experiences, like getting head, and how crazy it was, and all the hang-ups we had as men in that moment. And this made me think of, well, what are the hang-ups that women might have in that moment, the first time a guy standing in front of them, whipping it out? What's the thing that goes on in their head that we're not thinking about as men, because we're dealing with our own shit?
And normally young.
Yeah, we're normally, well, hopefully, if you're young, I mean, I guess, depending on where you're at in the
World.
In the world. I don't know where you are, but yeah, as a young guy, you're worried about whipping your dick out in front of this girl for the first time. You've probably never done it before. You don't know if she's gonna like it. Is it gonna be something she likes? Is it too big, too small? Is it weird looking? Has it got a cockeyed turn to it?
I feel like that
You know.
also depends on, like, what kind of household you lived in growing up, where maybe you aren't, I don't know, like,
Exposed to certain
yeah,
things?
like, remember how we were talking about how too much exposure to something is bad, but also too little exposure to something is bad. So if you grew up in a house where you were made to feel ashamed of your body, or feel like, oh no, you're not supposed to show this to anybody, or, you know, like, I don't know, like, do things in the dark type place, it will be a different experience than someone that maybe had a little bit more of a liberal approach when it came to raising their kids and talking to their kids about their body.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
And it's also could go the other way if before this first time, maybe you've been exposed to too much porn.
Well, yeah.
So
true.
now you're a young guy thinking that your dick's got to be 7 foot tall, and if you don't look like the guy on the video, then probably the girl's not gonna like you, or you're under par or whatever.
Well, it's just like the porn that shows that women want to be, like, slammed and pounded all the time.
Well, a lot of.
But we're talking about
You said, okay,
BJ.
you said all the time.
Yeah.
I love how you said all the time.
Yeah, I said all the time.
I love how you specifically put all the time, because that means that some of the time they do.
Yeah, no,
So,
I mean, the reality is that there is some truth to it, or it wouldn't exist.
Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes women do want to be pounded, but it's not all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
There are moments, you know.
Exactly. All right, fine. But So from a male's perspective, we're thinking about whether or not we're going to be adequate, size. We want to make sure we don't come too quick. That's obviously the other thing. You don't want to like go in and be done in minutes.
But you also want to be hard. You don't want to get stage fright.
Yeah. You don't want to get. Yeah.
And I'm not a man, obviously.
Well, so you speak from the female perspective.
So
yeah.
I just wonder, like your first time, like getting head.
Mm-hmm.
If you worry, other than that premature, whatever.
Premature, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you worry about like, oh, is my dick gonna be like big, hard, like, you know what I mean? Like,
if you worried if it's gonna be big, or
yeah, like because we were just talking about like the self-consciousness of whipping your dick out to someone for the first, what you would assume would be the first time to another individual.
I mean, I think we're more worried about whipping it out and it being too small.
I mean, is it going to be big enough? That's what I meant.
Okay, yes. Is it
Sorry,
going to be big enough?
I didn't say that correctly.
We're worried about, whipping it out and it being big enough that you don't want to get laughed off stage, so to speak. You know, that's what you're worried about. Like, we don't know, what this girl is expecting. You know what I'm saying? Even if she's not expecting anything, we assume she's expecting something. We don't know what that is. So we're definitely worried about that. And we're worried about making sure we perform. Like, we don't want the show to be over too quickly.
It's funny that that you say perform, because I feel like as women we're the ones
actually performing. Yeah. Very true. We're just holding out. Like, we're trying to. We're holding on to the handlebars.
I wish that there was a camera in here, because that's exactly what it would be. Like the girl like freaking out about. Oh, I don't know. I've heard of this deep throat thing. Maybe I should try it. Should I try it my first time? Oh, I don't want to gag, but I heard the gagging is good. Like, you don't...
See, that's the funny... You talk about having a camera. That's the funny thing, because it's like we're in... At that time, the man and woman are in two different hemispheres. The woman's down here freaking out, and we're up here freaking out.
Well, and that's why it was funny in that comedy sketch that she was like... Man, you got to check in with your ladies. Like, you think they're all in it, and they're like, oh, I wonder if Whole Foods is open today.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
and I definitely, I would hope to think that in the female's first time, that's not where she's at. But maybe later on in life, she's probably used to it at that point.
Course.
But at that point, I'm sure she's, there's that's the thing that we don't think about as men. What's going through a woman's head at that point in time? You know, what's going through her head while she's giving it at that point in time. We know what we're freaking out about, you know.
But are you like freaking out like the whole time?
No, because once well, yes and no. Because once the sensation takes over, the world disappears and everything is fucking harmony.
So you're basically in your strawberry fields.
Yeah, but then you get to that point where you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna come and I can't do that yet. And then you start freaking out. So there's a freak out in the beginning, then there's a relaxation, but you don't want to get too relaxed.
Well, meanwhile, I'm sure the girl's like, oh my God, come already. And you're like, no, I can't.
Well, see,
I can't.
This is the funny thing about it. This is the really funny thing about it. I don't know if I've ever even told you this, but I remember before I actually ever got head, a friend of mine, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he told me, he was like, because I was like, yo, man, he had more sexual experience than me. And I was like, I'm a little worried about this because I don't have a lot of sexual experience, and what do I do to make sure I don't fucking like go in and be 1 minute man? And he's like, you gotta understand that sex is mental. He's like, it's so much more mental than you think. You gotta get in your head. You gotta make sure your head game is right. And so when first time this happened to me, I did, and I got into my head, and I did it so well that I couldn't come.
Oh God.
So like she was down there doing her business, and it got to the point where she's like, listen,
I'm getting locked
my
off.
jaw is hurting. Like, she's like, are you going to come now? And I was like, I'm trying to, but I don't know how to turn it back on. Like, I figured it out so well that I couldn't come.
You had some Kama Sutra shit.
It took forever for me to like make it happen. So it was weird. Like, I turned on some switch and couldn't turn it off.
Now, you talk about the first time giving head. Do you think that at that point in the stage of whenever this is happening, they've already done like a hand job?
I would like to think so. You would think that that's the first thing.
I feel like
the
a
first
hand
introduction
job is so much harder than a blowjob.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
just because I
think,
feel like males do it to themselves.
Well, okay, I see where you're coming
And it's like when you do it, they're like,
know.
oh, it's not.
It's not what I'm
you gotta
used
do
to.
this.
It's
You
not
know,
what
they're
I'm
like a little
used
bit
to.
more aggressive. And I'm like, I don't have your rough, manly hands.
Well, not only that,
you use to handle yourself.
It's not only that, but it's like men do it to themselves, so they have a specific rhythm of how it works.
Exactly.
So when you do it, you don't know what that is, and that's a part of that whole. What she said in the thing: speak to each other.
Yeah.
So as a man, as a woman, you ask him, "Hey, do you like it this way? Is it this? Do you want it this way? How does this work?" That kind of thing.
But you also kind of don't want like a dude that's like, I want it hard, but not like too hard, like this. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you just jerk yourself off? Like, why am I even here?
It's like,
You know?
Well, I mean, if you have too many fucking demands, then yeah, that's just
You
at some
gotta
point.
go,
At
dude.
some point, as a man, you need to just let her do what she's gonna do and just fucking enjoy it.
And then
Like,
maybe
if you
after
have-
the fact, be like,
Well, yeah, if she's really that damn bad, then you can after the fact be like, hey, can we talk real quick?
or
But I mean,
just be like, I just want to fuck. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
I would have to think that. I don't know. I can't say I've ever had a really bad hand job, so I don't know if it could ever. Well, maybe it could be that bad. I mean, if a woman's just really that bad with a hand job that you really have to stop her and say, could we not do that? And could you put some lotion?
I don't even think it's like the could we not do that. It's the
Could you pump 3 times in this direction and then do a swirly motion?
I don't think it's like could you not do that. I think at that point, as a man, you just kind of get to it,
But yeah, of course. I mean, a hand job is only ever like I don't think any man really wants a hand job. Like all of us want to skip that part if we can. Seriously.
It's just like the little grays to get hard, and then
Yeah, if we can skip past the hand job portion, we would all be happy. All right, stop it.
we'll test the two.
All right.
I don't really remember.
We're first times.
Oh, well, just like hand jobs, like you'd rather skip the hand job altogether.
Oh, well, yeah, most guys do. Okay, this is a good question though. From
Okay.
from a guy to a female perspective, we were talking about men getting head. What is it like the first time you get head? Like, what is that like? The first time a man puts his head between your legs, like, is that not a weird thing? Do you worry? Oh my God, I don't want to make sure everything's good down there. Or is that a thing that you freak out about? Do you not give a fuck?
I'm afraid to put my personal business out there, but I will say that for me, I always worry about that stuff, even now.
Okay, so you obviously in the beginning it was the same.
Yeah, like the first time that something like that happened, I was like, oh my God, am I clean? I need a shower.
Which you guys think about too.
And the funny thing is,
First time.
oh really?
Well, the first time a girl goes out on them, they're thinking about that too. Like, making sure, am I clean enough? Do I smell good down there?
Yeah, where are you going? We're going to the airport.
Duh.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And what's really interesting because like I think it depends on how like loosey-goosey you feel.
So if you had a couple drinks maybe or something.
Yeah, well, and I say that because like let's get real. Like shit like that, it's gonna storm like really bad. Shit like that doesn't always happen in a place where, for example, a shower is readily available.
So you're saying sometimes it can be very spontaneous.
Yeah, and that's when you're like, oh my God, like, what does my snatch smell like? You know what I mean? Like, it's, like, I definitely worry about that stuff. It's not because I like stink. It's just natural to think that.
Well, yeah, like you said, it depends. Like if you're out, if you just went out all day, first date or something, or hopefully maybe not a first date, but second or third date, you've been out all day, and all of a sudden you're wherever getting hot and heavy and things happen. you're like, I haven't had a chance to.
You have this like slight moment of,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You keep going. You just power through.
Well, especially if you're in the moment. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with guys.
When you're in a moment, you don't think about it till after the fact, really.
Now I know there's a thing that guys do.
Oh, are you sure you want to give away the secret?
There's a thing that guys have been known to do,
Which
is, you know, you're hot and heavy, you're in the moment, you're kissing or whatever, doing your thing, and then usually what will happen before you go down there yourself.
Let me guess.
You'll
put your hand down there.
Put your hand down there. Usually it starts with, you know, fingering.
Yes, and then you smell it. You secretly smell it.
Yes.
Oh my God! You know what? When I put my hand down a guy's pants, I also smell it to make sure it's not gross.
Why you
before I
can't
go down.
cover that up? So women do it too. Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for all women, but I have done it.
Okay.
Or you kind of like do the whole like, you know, and you like kind of go down. And you're like, oh, there's a weird order. I'm gonna go back up.
You
know,
the bend, snap, and stand back.
Exactly. It's like the snake. Like, ooh.
Well, I mean, that's harder to explain. Obviously, like if you start
yeah,
going
like
down,
it's not like
pop back up.
but he's not gonna be like, what's going on? What's happening? What do you mean? Like, well, your fucking crotch stinks.
Well,
You know what I mean?
if you're heading down south to give head, he's expecting head. So if you pop back up, and he's like, "Oh shit, something's not right." Obviously.
Well, so I guess in that respect, then maybe the way to save it is to just put the P in the V.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, ooh.
Just go straight for the goalpost.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, of course. I mean, if you're like, you know what, fuck it, this is not gonna work. I'm just gonna take it there. Because once that's going on, there's no back. He's not gonna back down from that. He's like, good, we're there.
Or he's gonna be like, oh, what's the red?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. Then that was my biggest thing when I talked to my friend. I was like, how do I make sure my first time I'm good and the V don't take over? You know what I'm saying? Because you can't let the V take over. You know, because you get in and you're only in for a couple minutes at best, and that's all you got to show for it. You might not get a second chance. You know, you're lucky if a girl gives you a second chance. You know, maybe if you're young enough, because that's the other thing. From a girl's perspective, first time a guy goes and, you know, you get a penis stuck in you, it might not be the most glamorous thing either. So you might be willing to give second chances because you're both on the same not sure playing field type thing.
I mean, my first time was, I mean, I don't know. I saw the movie Blockers.
Oh, that new one? Recently?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And I like genuinely appreciate it.
Really?
Yeah, only because like one of the persons was very much like, well, I'm just gonna get it over with. It's not gonna be lollipops and roses, you know. But I think that it could be magical and special. But I don't think it's magical and special in the way that people.
Hope it would be.
Yeah. I always like now. I mean, you know, my first time wasn't awful.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, oh my god, it was like perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the reason that was because I did not have this idealized version of it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never planned it, you know?
Thought about it too
I didn't really think about it until like it almost happened a couple of times.
Okay.
But then when it finally did happen, I wasn't like, oh man, that sucked. It was more like, oh god, that hurt.
Oh,
You know?
So it was painful for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like that for every girl.
No.
The first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was painful for you the first time, but it
It wasn't unpleasant.
Okay, so that was my question. My
Yeah.
next question. It was obviously pleasant enough that you were willing to go do it again. You weren't like,
After
fuck
a
this
year.
shit. Oh, so you took a year off from your first time.
I did it like the
wow.
one time, and then I was like, I need a
You
minute.
had to take a break. And it took you a year to kind of figure that out.
I needed to assess my body and like be like, is this really something I want to?
Okay.
I will say, and I'm sorry, Mom, that I'm about to put this out there if this ever goes public. My mom didn't ever want to do it the first time. With, you know, her first time was with her husband, because that was the generation.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it because she was under the assumption, this is like the naivete of that generation. She was under the assumption that she's like, well, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Like, when am I going to sleep? Because she thought it happened like all night. She didn't realize that it was like you actually sleep. Like, it wasn't like an all night event.
It's a momentary thing.
Yeah. She didn't realize that. She was like, I don't want to do that. And like, I don't know who she was talking to, but she told me that she had told someone that she didn't want to do it because when was she going to be able to sleep? Because she was going to work. And then she had to be a wife. And like, when was she going to sleep? I don't want to do that.
Wow, talk about expectations.
And I was like,
the man.
And I was like, why? Well, and that's when she said that, I was like, well, Mom, why did you think you weren't going to get any sleep? And she just looked at me, she goes, because I really thought that, like, sex was, like, all night. And I was like, well, damn.
That's
all right.
Jeez, expectations. You know you got to go in and just make this an all-nighter?
Right? Like, I was like, but that also, like, so here again, obviously that's a generational thing. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
But it's also a, what we were actually bringing it back, what we were talking about being too exposed and not exposed enough.
Yes.
Like, at least, the expectation.
Yeah.
Knowing the expectation.
Yeah. No, that's, because that could have automatically made her experience utterly horrible, because when it didn't go all night, she's like, well, what the fuck?
Like, and also, like, as a female, that might make you feel super inadequate. Like,
yeah, I would think
I mean,
so.
granted, my mom, I don't understand this too much because my mom's a pharmacist.
Okay.
So she took a lot of science, not necessarily like,
Well,
she had to take biology, maybe A&P, like, all that. So I want to ask her, I want to go back and ask her, like,
you have to take that back again. Like, why?
But maybe, like, I'm trying to think now, and I don't know if maybe she was saying that, I'm sure.
Okay, maybe she thought it was an expectation? Sex was supposed to go the whole night?
No, I think that what happened is, like, well, I don't know if you know, but like, hang on. Okay. I think that maybe this was a conversation that transpired before she, like, way before she got married, when her other friends were getting married.
Stuck with her?
Well, no. Like, I think that, again, I need to confirm this with my mom. I think that Mom knew the expectation at the time that she got married. I think that maybe she said that to someone that had gotten married or something, and then maybe they were like, I just want to let you know, it's going to last like 2 seconds, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think, because obviously my parents had sex.
Yeah.
I'm here, like,
yeah, of course.
But,
I mean, first time, it's never the fucking...
this might be off topic completely, but I can't, okay. Would I have liked to have been a virgin?
Up till marriage?
Up till marriage? Maybe.
I don't see why.
Maybe. I said maybe.
Yeah.
But now I'm in my 30s, so hell no.
Okay.
So now that I have, lived in a way, I don't know that I would, like, I think about, like, emotionally, like, the pressure, like, of being a virgin and getting married, and like you're I just got married, now I'm gonna have sex for the first time.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yes, I understand.
It's like a mind fuck.
The religion, the cultural aspects, the reasons why people do that. It's like that whole thing of you shouldn't live together till you're married. I don't get that
Hell
either.
no.
Like, that makes no sense to me.
Well, now, and like I said, now that I've lived, I would want to live with someone for a good 6 months to a year
Before you even get engaged.
And I think that the reason that stuck, other than religion, is I think culturally people got married so much younger than we're getting married now.
Yeah.
Women, particularly.
Yeah, particularly, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was like you went from your daddy taking care of you to your husband taking care of you. So it's not, I think it's just changed so much.
Yeah. But there are still people that do it.
Oh, 100%.
You know, I mean, there's still people that don't live together until they're married or don't have sex until they're married. And there's so many aspects about sex. Having sex is part of figuring out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So if the first time you're having sex and figuring out who that person is, who that side of you is with this person you just married, there's a lot of risk involved there. There's a good chance your marriage will not work because you're fighting. There's a good chance whoever your sex persona is not gonna mold with his sex persona.
I mean, but that's come on, honk. Yeah, bitch. Stop looking at your phone.
Traffic going, let's go.
I don't like honking, but also when their head is completely...
Well, yeah. He obviously wasn't getting a blowjob.
No, that we know of. I mean, I don't know.
But the sex persona thing, like...
Yeah.
Two people's, you know... Because, I mean, you never know. You might end up with a guy your first time, you're married now, you're in bed together, you're having sex, and whatever it is that you're doing that you figure out for the first time that you like doesn't float his boat.
There was an episode of Sex and the City where Charlotte marries Trey, which is her first husband, and she decides, oh, we're not going to have sex till we get married. And the night before their wedding, he can't get it up.
Yeah.
And so, like, they created a lie, essentially, like, because she, like, freaked out on the wedding day. And she was like, well, maybe he was nervous and he jerked off before you got there, you know, like, giving all these reasons. But here again, and they were in their 30s or late 20s.
Yeah, late 20s.
So, and there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's going to happen with everybody.
No, of course not. Now, that's another thing that I wonder is similar with women, which I doubt it is, but like men have this thing where sometimes they do this, where before they know they're going to have sex, they kind of clear the pipes.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard
like something about Mary?
Something about Mary, yes. Where before you have sex, you gotta go roll one off real quick, clear the pipes. That kind of helps you relax, so you don't come too quickly in the actual act.
Okay.
So, is there a similar thing like that with women?
I don't do that.
There's like something. Like
I shouldn't say that.
Preparing for a sexual situation.
Honestly, I think it just depends on how much you regularly masturbate.
I would think women. I don't know. I mean, I think we've always kind of been fed this thing that women have so much more control. You know, when it comes to sex, like everything with them is just so much more like dialed in. You know, where men, it seems like we've been fed this thing where it's like, all right, man, you gotta get it together, get your head in the game, and you know, you gotta make sure you're mentally prepared, and you might want to rub one out before you go in, and there's all these things to prepare yourself to get in the game. Where it seems like women just walk in the door,
we get the,
you know, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, kinda.
I mean, obviously, there's, you know, they get themselves prepped up, and they you know, shower and make sure they're clean and everything. That's one thing, but we're talking about mentally. Like, there's really no mental things that women have to really do for themselves to get prepared.
I mean, I'm sure that there is, but I feel like it's very situational.
Okay.
Like, having sex with some dude you met at a bar is completely different than, like, having sex for the first time with a guy you've been dating for a while that you really wanted to be with, and yeah, exactly.
So yeah, in that situation,
emotionally, and it's different.
So it's about how emotionally tied up a woman is to the encounter.
Yeah.
Because if it's some guy you really like, you want to make sure that you're bringing your A game, you know, to the table. I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, for guys, it's like a sexual land minefield or whatever you want to call it, a minefield, leading up to the act all the time. Like all the time, it seems like you gotta have your head in the game. And you gotta come on, we do this. Yellow like this.
Yellow like this. I think that So I was watching an episode. I watch a lot of television, as you know. I was watching an episode of Younger, and they were talking about the bad pancake.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it?
No. I mean, it's not the same as the blue waffle, so no.
No. The bad pancake is like basically before you can get into a serious relationship. Well, so the theory behind it, from what I understand, is that
I do remember this, but yes, explain.
The first pancake that you make is always a little burnt.
Yeah.
And you always have a bad pancake. Unless you're a fucking chef.
Before you get to the good one.
Yeah. So basically, like, in that episode, they were basically talking about the bad pancake.
Yeah.
Like the whole trying to move on, blah, blah. So, I think maybe that's how women might prepare for the one that they really like.
Okay. So basically...
Like, you need your bad pancake.
So you need to get with a guy that you know is not really going to add up to much.
Not even that you know it's not going to add up to much, but you meet a guy, you're vibing, but then there are qualities that are really what you're looking for.
Okay.
But you kind of bang anyway to get it out of the way.
Okay. And this is something that maybe you do...
Before you meet a dude.
Before you meet somebody that you really want to...
Someone special.
So is this something like... But if you're regularly having casual sex...
Then you have a lot of bad pancakes.
So it's just a lot of bad pancakes. Oh, okay.
That's my interpretation of it.
Okay. And then you, at some point, you meet the good pancake and you're good. Essentially. Interesting.
I mean, we have friends that have had years of bad pancakes.
Well, yeah, most people do. Most people get with the bad pancake and don't
leave.
They don't leave.
And just burn.
Yeah, just keep eating the bad pancake. I mean, that's just horrible.
And it's a shame because, like, pancakes are so good when they're well done.
Oh, God. Pancakes are really good when they're done well. Just had 3 today. They're all awesome.
I can't believe I had a hamburger today.
For breakfast. So it's basically it's interesting to think about. I feel like men and women need to spend more time talking about those moments. You know what I'm saying? Because we tend to freak out on our own, but we never stop to think about how the other person might be freaking out in that exact same moment.
I mean, I think the bottom line when it comes to, like, what is the girl feeling, what is the man feeling, all of it is so personal. But I think that it is important to check in with your partner. And I think it's also important to be considerate.
Now, do you think this is something that they should teach in high school? Because that's the thing, though. We're talking about being considerate of your partner and all these things, but, you know, when you're young and you're 16, 17, 18...
I don't think it should be...
The last thing you're thinking about is what...
I don't think it should be up to the education system, but I think it's up to, like, maybe the parents...
Yeah, like, is there...
having that talk.
Is there... Because obviously parents will freak out if they ever did some shit like this in high school anyway. Especially nowadays. Is there, like, a psychological way, like a guidance counselor way of having a class where we talk about not necessarily the act of sex, but leading up to it and how the man and the woman could both be in a really uncomfortable situation?
I mean, I don't think I ever got really, like, the sex talk from my parents.
No, I never had sex talk.
I got it from my sisters because I was the youngest.
Well, okay. Well, that makes sense.
One sister.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And, like, everyone's experience is so different.
I got, when I was 11 years old, what I got was my dad took me into a room and he said, "Are you masturbating yet?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Cool, here's a bag of porn." And that was it.
No condoms.
No condoms. He just gave me
Oh, because you're 11.
It But yeah, he just gave me porn to jerk off to, and that was my introduction.
Okay.
From my father. My true introduction was my uncle giving me porn on Betamax, and when I lived with my grandmother.
Oh yeah.
And like just gave me porn and said, "Here you go." And I'm like, "What is this?" And this was on Betamax. Like this was his old thing, old Betamax disc that obviously doesn't exist anymore. But that was it. That was my introduction to porn.
I think I think it's either fifth or sixth grade. Fifth. In fifth grade, they separate the boys and the girls, and they talk about puberty. Or at least we got the period talk.
Oh, and which grade was this?
I think it was fifth or sixth grade.
Interesting.
Middle school-ish.
Do you even start getting your period at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And then I want to say it was like 7th or 8th grade is when they do like a sex ed class.
Before high school?
Yes. Don't quote me on that though.
Didn't we have sex ed in high school?
Mm-mm. I don't think we had it in high school.
We didn't have a sex ed class?
Did we?
I feel like we did have a sex ed class. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was high school, not middle school.
I think it was 9th grade where you have the sex ed class.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I do remember.
You know what? We need to ask Michi. We need to ask our friend that's a teacher. She'll know.
I mean, I wonder if they still have it now. I'd be surprised if they did. I doubt they still have it now, but
they should have it now.
They definitely should have it now. But I know we had it back then in 9th grade. We had a sex ed class. I mean, but I was years ahead of you, so I don't know if maybe by the time you were in 9th grade, maybe they didn't have it. Maybe could be the case. I don't know.
The only reason I really thought it was middle school is because I remember so much more snickering than normal.
Oh yeah, that's what I remember.
People like,
but it was
you know,
definitely 9th grade. But I remember that too. It was snickering and stupid laughs and uncomfortableness, like in the teacher talking about the male organ and the female organ. That was so 9th grade. That was definitely.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I specifically see it up on the board, the female organ, the male organ, all that stuff. We're all like pointing at the penis.
And the funny thing is that they would show you like a video in the freaking dark.
Yeah, in the dark.
Like when people are like, you know. I was like, I don't think this was planned out very well.
So like, yeah, if this movie goes on any longer, we're gonna have some
babies.
We got little problems here. Speaking of, and that's funny you bring up dark. In high school, some of the first places you would go
movie theater
to get some action.
Movie theater.
Yeah, the movie theater in the back of the theater. Especially because back when we were in high school, they had dollar theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So that was easy. You could spend $1 and go and sit in the back of a dollar theater and not watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the other place I remember was Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
At Disney.
Haunted Mansion at Disney. That's right.
Oh, good Lord. People like, I talk to people about that who didn't go to high school here or whatever. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Haunted Mansion at Disney was well known for a place you can get on.
Spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth, too?
It was dark. Mm-hmm.
It was dark, but it was such more of an aggressive roller coaster, though, wasn't it?
No, Spaceship Earth isn't a roller coaster.
Okay, not Space Mountain.
No, Spaceship Earth.
Yes.
At Epcot.
Spaceship Earth, hell yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Especially when the seat would flip and turn, you're like, oh yeah, this is so much better.
Yeah, no, Spaceship Earth was another one. Yeah, no, I don't even know if Disney even realizes how much they've set themselves up.
I don't know that we could put that on a podcast. We'd probably get sued.
No, we ain't gonna get sued. I mean, there's problems we love to have. If we got that many listeners that Disney wanted to sue us, cool. That'd be awesome. I welcome that kind of situation. So, we are approaching the airport.
Yes.
We're about to drop Miss Julimar off.
And my flight's already delayed. Good times.
Delayed. You're heading to Colorado again? Mm-hmm. Alright. Well, that was an awesome conversation. I like that. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was cool. Till the next one.
Till the next one.